Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I am your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show on Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. To support the show, you can go to paypal.me/cupofjoepod, and you can always get those in the show description, folks. But we are back again here this week. I hope you all are doing well. I had an amazing weekend. I went and visited my parents, my aunt and uncle, both of my sisters, and one of my nephews. My brother-in-law had surgery, so I was checking in on him. But it's good to get away, especially now you're hitting the end of February. We're starting to get, at my job, we're about to go into spring break, so I'm trying to get caught up on a lot of work things and a lot of work responsibilities and trying to gear up. I saw today as I'm recording this 40 days until WrestleMania 40. So 40 until 40, and I will be there nights 1 and 2. So really looking forward to that. But today we look at NXT Arrival from the WWE. NXT Arrival was shown on the WWE Network on February the 27th, 2014 from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. There were 400 plus in attendance. We start out with our WWE intro. Triple H is in the ring to welcome us to NXT. We then get our NXT Arrival intro. Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, and William Regal welcome us to Arrival and will be the announcers for the evening. We start out with Sami Zayn versus Cesaro. The bell rings and they stare at each other. They lock up and Cesaro pushes off. They lock up again and reverse each other. Cesaro takes Zayn down. Back and forth. Quick pace match so far. Zayn goes for a Hurricane Rana. Cesaro blocks and goes for a big swing. More blocks and strikes. Cesaro thrown outside and Zayn hits a suicide dive on him. Cesaro catches Zayn coming off the top rope and hits a backbreaker for a 2 count. It goes outside and Zayn thrown into the barricade. He is then run into the apron. Cesaro thrown back out of the ring. Cesaro throws Zayn back in and gets a 2 count before Zayn thrown back out. Cesaro beats Zayn on the ring before throwing Zayn back in. Zayn goes to launch himself through the ropes onto Cesaro, but gets caught with a European uppercut. Cesaro beating Zayn down in the corner. Cesaro working on the leg of Zayn. He gets a 2 count. Zayn trying to fight back. Cesaro with a dragon screw leg whip. Zayn kicking off. He kicks Cesaro. Cesaro comes back and keeps up the assault. Cesaro with another leg whip. Zayn goes for an enziguri and Cesaro ducks it and gets a half crab. Zayn finally gets to the bottom rope. Zayn backdrops Cesaro to the outside. Zayn with a springboard moonsault, but Cesaro catches him and slams him on the ramp. Zayn gets in on the count of 9. Zayn grabs the charging Cesaro and hits an exploder suplex in the corner. Zayn gets a 2 count. Cesaro comes back with elbows to Zayn, who responds with a Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2 count. Zayn with a Koji clutch in the center of the ring. Cesaro counters into a leg lock. Zayn reaches the ropes. Zayn counters a big swing attempt with a roll-up for a 2 count. Cesaro gets the big swing. A running uppercut by Cesaro. They trade 2 counts. They battle in the corner. Zayn goes to Hurricane Rana Cesaro off the top rope, but Cesaro grabs Zayn and goes for a powerbomb, only for Zayn to hit a Hurricane Rana. Zayn with the Huluva kick for a 2 count. Both men down. Cesaro with an uppercut. He tells Zayn to stay down. Zayn keeps coming back. They trade shots. Zayn with a German suplex. Cesaro comes back looking for the neutralizer. Zayn rolls Cesaro up for a 2 count. Zayn with a Canadian Destroyer for another 2 count. Cesaro with a pop-up uppercut for a 1 count, and Zayn is fired up. Cesaro with an uppercut and the neutralizer to get the pin. Cesaro and Zayn hug after the match. Cesaro then leaves and the crowd chants Sammy and does the Olay chant. Zayn then limps to the back. A feature on Mojo Rawley. CJ Parker versus Mojo Rawley. They lock up and drive to the corner and break. Parker with a side headlock and a go-behind. Raleigh responds with a backdrop for a 2 count. Raleigh with an armbar. Parker gets to the corner. Back and forth. Parker with a clothesline for a 2 count. Parker kicking Raleigh down in the corner. Parker with a shoulder into Raleigh. Raleigh comes back with a shot. Raleigh with a pair of splashes. He then hits the hyperdrive and pins Parker. Emma is shown stretching in the back. A package is then shown on Emma. We get a feature on the Ascension. NXT Tag Team Championship match. The Ascension, Connor and Victor versus Too Cool, Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher, and Scotty 2 Hotty. The crowd loves to see Too Cool. Victor and Christopher start. Christopher with a shoulder block to knock Victor down, but Christopher then starts dancing. Victor with chops and uppercuts. Connor tagged in. Connor with the leg drop for a 2 count. Connor with a shoulder block. He beats Christopher down in the corner. Victor tagged back in. He gets a 2 count. He keeps Christopher down with kicks. A suplex gets another 2 count. Victor with a headlock. Christopher pulling the hair to get out. He does, and Victor hits some elbows. Christopher with a jawbreaker to break the hold. Back and forth. Christopher makes the tag. Scotty in. He cleans house. Back and forth. Scotty with a forearm shot. Scotty with shots in the corner. Victor charges Scotty, who gets his foot up on the charge. Another charge by Victor, but Scotty moves out of the way. He follows it up with a bulldog to Victor. Scotty goes for the worm, but Victor clotheslines him with the bottom rope. Victor with a clothesline and Connor tagged in. The Ascension hit the fall of man to get the pin. Paige is shown in the back. A package is then shown on Paige. Ric Flair and Charlotte are shown in the crowd. NXT Women's Championship match. Stephanie McMahon comes to the ring before the match. The crowd says, "You've still got it," and she says, "I never lost it." She says the first program to stream on the WWE Network is NXT Arrival, and then brings out the women. Paige versus Emma. The crowd is into Emma when she comes out. Paige comes out and holds the belt up high. McMahon greets both wrestlers. They push each other, and Emma with a takedown. They battle for position. Emma with a backslide for a 2 count. Emma goes for the slingshot, but Paige counters for a 2 count. Paige with a drop kick. Paige with a hair pull and a scoop slam. She then gets a side headlock takeover as dueling chants go out. Emma trying to get out and back to her feet. Back and forth. They battle to a corner. Paige choking Emma with her boot. Emma with a slingshot into the Emma lock, but Paige kicks off. Emma kicks Paige in the midsection for a 1 count. Emma with the dilemma. Emma sandwiched in the corner. Emma with a submission, pulling Paige's arms back. Emma increases the pressure. Paige breaks, but Emma gets a 2 count. Emma stomping Paige in the corner. She gets another 2 count. Paige comes back with a forearm. Emma runs Paige into a turnbuckle. Paige goes for the superplex, but Emma fighting off and powerbombs Paige for a 2 count. Emma with a press for another 2 count. Emma slaps Paige and tells her to give up. Paige comes back with kicks and the Paige turner to get a 2 count. Paige with a scorpion cross lock on Emma, and Emma taps. Paige extends her hand, and she and Emma hug. Neville is shown getting ready in the back, and then a package is shown on Neville. We get an NXT commercial. Dusty Rhodes and Pat Patterson are shown in the audience. Xavier Woods versus Tyler Breeze. It takes some time to get started, and before they lock up, Lana and Rusev come out. Rusev brutalizes both wrestlers. He destroys both and puts the accolade on Woods. Woods taps over and over. Lana says Rusev is the next generation. Rusev then says things in Russian. Bo Dallas is shown getting ready, and a package is shown on Bo Dallas. Larry Zbyszko and Steve Keirn are shown in the audience. A feature is shown on the main event. Ladder match for the NXT Championship. Bo Dallas versus Neville. Shawn Michaels comes out before the match. He has the NXT Championship with him. He says he's honored to be a part of this historic night. The crowd keeps chanting stuff to interrupt him. He promotes his Mr. WrestleMania DVD and talks about the importance of the match coming up. Neville out first and gets a respectable ovation. Dallas out and looking all business. HBK greets and wishes both men luck. They both look at the title as it is raised up high. The bell rings and Neville attacks Dallas as Dallas was going for a ladder. Neville with a missile dropkick. Dallas rolls to the apron and gets Neville down. Dallas with 2 back elbows and a clothesline to Neville. Dallas hangs Neville upside down on the ropes. Dallas grabs a ladder. Neville gets loose and a baseball slides the ladder into Dallas. Neville suicide dives onto Dallas. Neville throws the ladder into the ring. Dallas pushes Neville into the ring steps. Dallas kicking Neville on the outside. He then traps the arm into the ring skirt. Dallas grabs another ladder and goes to run it into Neville, who moves. The second ladder ends up in the ring, and Neville backdrops Dallas. Neville sets up a ladder and starts to climb. Dallas pushes the second ladder into the first, and knocking Neville to the floor. Dallas sets the ladder on Neville to pin him, and Dallas starts to climb. Neville powers out of the ladder to knock Dallas off. Neville kicks Dallas and sets up a ladder. Dallas pushes the ladder over. They have a tug of war with the ladder. Dallas slams the ladder into Neville, back and forth. Neville uses the ladder to DDT Dallas. Neville climbing the ladder. Dallas runs into the ladder to knock it down. Dallas with a corner clothesline. Dallas grabs Neville. He goes to Bulldog Neville, who pushes Dallas off. The referee checks on Dallas as Neville sets the ladder up. They both climb the ladder. Dallas running Neville into the ladder. Neville knocks Dallas off and goes to the top rope. Dallas throws Neville to the outside. Both wrestlers down. Dallas sets the ladder up and starts to climb. Neville springboards to the ladder from the top rope. They both climb, and Dallas with forearms to Neville's back and trying to German suplex Neville off the ladder. Neville with forearms to Dallas. Dallas falls off and grabs Neville like he's going to powerbomb him and throws Neville into the other ladder. Dallas grabs the ladder and goes to run it into Neville, who gets a boot up and then plants Dallas on the ladder. Neville hits the red arrow on the prone Dallas. An NXT chant goes out. Neville sets the ladder. Dallas starts to climb, but Neville grabs the title to win and become the new NXT champion. Neville raises the championship as the crowd celebrates. Dallas is shown on the ground holding his ribs. John Cena is shown in the audience applauding Neville. They recap the night and sign off from Full Sail. Final thoughts. This was a great show and a good opportunity to show the early days on the WWE Network as well as the NXT brand. Highly recommended. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.